Hello and welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. Kay Murray, Craig Burley and Stevie Nicol here today. Craig's got back up today because he was getting targeted a little bit yesterday.
That was fun. That was fun. I'm a big boy, I can take it.
Yes. We must revisit a topic, though, that we did speak about on yesterday's show, and it was that of Sir Jim Ratcliffe stating that he will give head coach Ruben Amorim at Manchester United 3 years to prove himself as a great coach. Obviously, we discussed this yesterday. The English papers have been picking up on what he has had to say. And as we bring in Jan Agerfjordtoft and Frank Leboeuf.
Well, get ready, Frank. Come on.
Get ready, Frank.
Come on.
It's okay. I'll give you a minute, Frank.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have a Wi-Fi issue, so I'm sorry, guys.
Okay, well, you get that sorted out.
I think there's more than a Wi-Fi issue there.
No, that should be all right.
Yeah, and you're shaking your head already as you saw those headlines.
Yeah, because there is no chance that that will happen. I mean, Sir Jim Ratcliffe can say whatever he wants. He won't give him 3 years. He can say 3 years, but that won't happen. He has to get results. You have to change. We have to see a philosophy. We have to see identity. We have to see winning games. And yes, it was a good game against Sunderland. That's the only thing now. I love Amorim. He's kindest man to have pitch side for me as an interviewer. But you have to win football games. And there is no chance. I hope for Amorim. Fantastic if he can stay for 3 or more years, as the English tabloids were writing. There is no chance that will happen. He has to improve the team. You have to win football games or you're gone before Christmas. Finito, period.
I bet the papers had a field day with that, didn't they? I mean, I know I talked about it yesterday, the boys weren't in.
I know they'd have a laugh.
I mean, Stevie, we were saying yesterday, I mean, apart from that it's just a ridiculous statement that you don't have to make, that's probably going to come back and bite you in the backside when you have to make the inevitable decision, as it looks at the moment. But what we were saying yesterday, it was more than feasible had they lost at the weekend to Sunderland by 2 or 3 goals, which the way they've been playing was a possibility. It did not happen, but it could have. That he could have fired them, or he could have been forced almost to fire him Monday morning or Sunday morning. And yet now, because of, does he feel emboldened by beating a team at home that have just been promoted from the Championship? So, you know, it just seems ridiculous when everybody was saying if he loses to Sunderland at the weekend, he could be gone. And now, 3 days later, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's talking about, we're going to give him 3 years. Huh?
Well, it's hard to listen to Ratcliffe anymore, because every time he says something, it just doesn't make any sense. You know, I mean, he's talking about you can't have knee-jerk reactions. Well, he gave Ten Hag
a new deal,
and then 2 months later sacked him. So he's actually done what he said you can't do. And then to turn round, as Jan said, there's no chance he's going to be here for 3 years. I mean, he's been there, what, a year already? And if anything, you can honestly, hand on heart, say Manchester United are worse than they were when Amorim came. So how is he going to last 3 years? Yeah, as I said, every time he speaks now, other than laugh at it, we don't take it seriously.
Yeah, yesterday, Craig was saying as well, Frank, that you get caught saying these things, they come back to bite you on the backside when things do have to change.
Yeah, exactly. And so sometimes you should be, yes. It doesn't work.
No, we've got you. You're back.
You're back.
Continue.
Unfortunately,
really,
it works
really,
now.
Okay, I'm back. Finally, for long enough, but I tried to be short and good enough. No, I think nobody bought it, and nobody will buy it, because we all know the system. We know the world of football, and we know how it works. And Sir Ratcliffe had proven before that when you don't have results, you get out and you are sacked. So Amorim, if he carries on like that, and it's not because he won against Sunderland that everything is going to be changed. If he carries on like that, he's going to be soon gone, and Sir Ratcliffe will have no other way to behave, because the fans will be upset.
Go on then, Jan, final thought.
Just a thought. When Amorim saw that quote from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he probably said, "I don't want to stay here for 3 years." I mean, he seems to be the most realistic guy in there. When he do analysis of his own position, he's quite okay. He say, I understand, I have to win, I have to improve, I have to get the people going. Yes, they can talk about the system all the way around, but we need to have passion, we need a determination to win football games. And if that won't happen, I'll be gone. And then Sir Jim Ratcliffe say you're going to stay there for 3 years. Seems nearly like a prison thing for him.
This is the anti-Bayer Leverkusen stance, isn't it? Bayer Leverkusen. Yeah. It's like, you know, this is chalk and cheese. This is black and white. I mean, this is just two different stratospheres. Bayer Leverkusen, former Manchester United manager, Eric Ten Hag comes in, he's there for weeks, and they go, boy, we have made a huge mistake here and just out him. It seems on the face of it at the moment, United have made another mistake. Of course, he has time to turn it around, but he has Liverpool off the back of the international break, albeit Liverpool side that have their own issues and their own problems to deal with. But yeah, you know, when you make these statements, it's kind of pointless, because then when a really bad result pops up, like they've seen against Liverpool in the last few years, I mean, there's been 5 and 6 goal hammerings, then that's where it comes back to hurt you. You know, and you know, the difference with the Glazers is, you know, the Glazers were doing this, that and the next thing, they were running the club on debt, they were taking money out. I mean, none of it's good, but at least they weren't popping their head up making stupid statements. Right. Jim Ratcliffe's in there, they're spending a fortune, they don't have full control of the club, but it seems to me they don't really know what they're doing. The recruitment hasn't been very good, and they've hired a manager who's struggling, and yet he comes out and says, we're going to give him 3 years. So I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't really think it helps.
Yes. Go on then, Frank. Last point.
No, but what is funny is on top of it. What is funny is on top of it. We are talking about Manchester United. I mean, we already talked about Nottingham Forest and the bad result that Ange Postecoglou had. And that is not the last if you carry on like that. But this Nottingham Forest, with all due respect, used to be a great, great club. But now they just came back 2 years ago from the Championship. We are talking about Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. And you are telling us that's a guy who has no results, going to stay 3 years. No, it's impossible. You know, you have to be fair to people who love the football, who know the football, and many people do. So stop it.
I said it on the other show, Kay. I would just say about Ten Hag that Craig was alluding to. I spoke to the guys in Germany and I asked them, how can you fire Ten Hag after 1 cup game and 2 Bundesliga games? Yeah, there was a mistake from him. We should have taken him after the training camp before the season. That was the sources in Leverkusen.
Yeah. And anyway, on his recent improvement of play, now he's doing so well at Napoli, he was asked what's happened, and he said, not much has happened other than me getting into a good football team. You like that, don't you, Stevie?
Oh, that is fantastic. You know what? You don't need huge, big stories and all kinds of fairy tales. You just need straight talking, get to the point. Don't spend 3 days trying to tell everybody, I'm now playing for a good team. End of story. There you go. That's all you need to know, and that is bang on the truth.
Can it be that simple that someone can just say that and just claim it wasn't the environment for him?
Yeah, I mean, because you know, it's easier to play with better players. It's easier to work under a better manager, which at this moment in time Antonio Conte is. Much more successful manager around Europe. And of course, this is a Napoli side that have won titles. So it's a new, you know, it's a new environment. It's away from the toxicity of what Man United has been, with, you know, the bad apples at the club being sent to the training ground at whatever time it was to train on their own, and the performances and the manager's stubbornness to change things, and of course your confidence just drains. And it's not just a flick of a switch. You just don't go in there and that happens. You've got to go in there, you work hard, you train hard, you take your opportunity. And thus far, early doors, he has done that. But I dare say he'll be getting a better look at goal-scoring opportunities playing for Napoli, and this stating the obvious, than he was in this Manchester United side.
You know, you got to feel for Rasmus Hojlund. You know, there's no question the mistake wasn't his going to Manchester United, because nobody in his position at his age is going to turn down Manchester United. It's Manchester United that's a problem. Bringing in somebody like him, who's still learning his craft, who's way off being the finished article, a player who needs experience around them, he needs help around them, both on and off the field. And Manchester United don't do that. They don't give that to anybody. But yet they still go and sign young players.
So you
knowing that previously they've tried to do that, and all they've done is make themselves worse because the young players who are not ready can't handle the pressure. And Rasmus Hojlund is the greatest example of a guy who was stuck up front, a big fee, and he was left on his own, basically. He was left on his own to fight against 2 or 3 centre-backs, maybe get a half chance every now and again, and then when he didn't take it, by the time he was finished at Manchester United, people were just looking at him as if this guy's just not good enough, when he was never, ever put in a position to succeed. And that's what he is. That's where he is now. He's now in a position with both Napoli and the international team. He's in a position now where he's going to succeed. And as you're talking about his confidence, it's going to go from there. It's going to go through the roof.
Because he knows Italian football anyway, doesn't he? From before.
Of course.
Yeah.
From his time at, I think it was Atalanta. So he's a bit more comfortable there. But it's quite ironic, really, that, you know, and he wasn't ready to come in and lead the line for a club like this. In some sense, Benjamin Sesko's in a similar situation. Absolutely. He's got a couple of goals, but he hasn't looked great. Yep. Even the game against Brentford, I didn't see the Sunderland game, but even the game against Brentford away from home, he got his goal there, but he did not really participate in the game. But Sir Jim Ratcliffe's talking about knee-jerk reactions. When you're bringing in younger players, as they have, you're bringing in younger players because you're supposed to be building for the future. And yet, when the younger player is struggling and doesn't perform, you sort of out him on loan to another country. But it's different for the manager because he's getting 3 years. And maybe they'll say, well, we're sending him to Napoli to further his progress, and then we're going to bring him back and everything's going to be rosy. But it looks to me as if the manager's just gone, I don't fancy him. I don't fancy him. So a little bit of rules for one and rules for others, but I'm pleased for the boy, because the one thing you could never say about Rasmus Hojlund and his time at Man United, if we take that in isolation, you could never question his work rate. His work rate was always top drawer. Yep. Finishing, the service he got, and the rest of it, and his confidence, that went to pot. But his work rate was terrific.
Yeah.
But it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, I was thinking when you were speaking there, Craig, have we ever seen a club having so many players going out and become better in other clubs? I mean, we talked a lot about this, but they leave Manchester United and they get into great players. I mean, Hojlund, Anthony, McTominay. I mean, just keep them coming. Everybody leaves Manchester United, improves. And if that is a proof for Sir Jim to say, oh, there's something great with this culture, let's keep this culture on for 3 years. Let's take players on and send them out and get them to improve. That is a model I've never seen in football before. I was thinking about Bayern Munich. Did they send any players in doing that in Liverpool? No, that never happened before. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yes, but it's something. Yes, Conte is playing a different football and all those kind of things. But to be in a team that they need to understand your runs, and I felt sorry. We all talked about that. We felt sorry for Rasmus Hojlund being a striker because he tried all the time. His attitude, you can just see his body language, that his attitude and his self-confidence was going down. And that is not a good proof of a good culture at the club.
Yeah, to Jan's point, Frank, it is yet another player who's left this culture and this environment at Manchester United and is succeeding away from Old Trafford.
Yeah, that's crazy, and that's really a statement. It says a lot about the environment and how difficult it is for any player to settle down. I mean, Mason Mount is a perfect also example of somebody coming to winning the Champions League with Chelsea and deciding to leave and signing for Manchester United and drowning with everybody else. That's crazy. And it goes for every club. Look at Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, when he signed like 3 years ago with Chelsea, not knowing exactly where they were going, in difference with what they are now and what they do now, because the environment is better. So Sir Ratcliffe should be more involved in that question mark, because that's the key. You have to change the way you think the football, the way you think the club, and the way it should work. It doesn't work right now. And when you see, and Jan is made a very good point, and you mentioned that again, it's crazy to see how many players living on loan, Manchester United, and being performant outside. That says a lot.
It's just very unfair on Man United. I mean, they have just beaten Sunderland, you know. Come on, this is very negative from the FC show.
Progress in Group C right now. A lot better for Scotland after a result like that, Stevie. Level on 7 points with Denmark.
Well, the key to what you said there is a result. Because in terms of football, Scotland got absolutely, totally and completely outplayed. Totally. But you know what? It doesn't matter as long as you win the game. And that's all that happened. And Scotland now in a position where if they beat Belarus at home and Denmark beats Greece, Scotland are guaranteed at least a place in the playoffs. So
I tell you what, this is clearly a man who hasn't got much else to do. But you know what the Scottish press will say? The Scottish press will lap that up, exactly what Stevie said, but there'll be I think there'll be a lot of negativity really about the fact that the type of football that they played or lack of, and the way that Greece dominated. We know how the press operates, certainly in Scotland. It's pretty much the same in most countries. They can be quite harsh. And I think they will pick up on that. The fact that it was what they were saying, if you go on social media, they're saying smash and grab. But at the end of the day, sometimes in qualifiers, it is just about rolling your sleeves up and getting a result. And Greece are not a bad side. So from Stevie Clarke's perspective, this could have been a much, much worse night when you bear in mind the type of performance that they put in.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Scotland, Stevie Clarke is going to be packing it in at the end of this. Because of what Craig's talking about. You know, regardless of what you do, you somehow get criticised. And as Craig said, there'll be some journalists in Scotland who'll figure a way out of criticising Steve Clarke and the team, but yet they've won 3-1 and got themselves in a really strong position. And that's why Steve Clarke is going to be packing it in at the end of his contract. And the usual, it's going to be just be careful what you wish for as far as the journalists are concerned. Because he's done a fantastic job, and I absolutely have no idea who's going to take over from him, and regardless of who it is, I don't think it's possible they can do a better job than him.
So Scotland had something to play for in their game today.
Is Erling Haaland already the best striker the Premier League has ever seen?
Come down. Seriously.
Oh my God. Next question. Come on. We have a list of 20 players we can compete with. Come on.
All right, Frankie, seeing as though you are back with us.
Oh, come on, folks. We're ripping the backside out of this.
Strikers named during Tuesday's extra time, and all on the list there. You can see the games they played, the goals they scored, and the goals per game. And Erling Haaland with 94 goals in 104 games.
Not, as I said yesterday, and I'm not going over it because
game ratio.
There's other people. Sorry for talking over you. I'm not going to really get involved in this today because I had to fix.
Because you tried to explain yourself.
No, I did. I thought I explained myself very well yesterday. There's just some people. There are just some people who are not very bright and can't understand. Yep. I fixed my bayonet and it's done. This is not just who's got the most goals. It's not.
No.
It's not. No. Right? So the people that just go and start...
I have seen many bad analyses. I have seen many bad analyses. What you guys did, the three of you, I do understand that...
That's very simplistic,
Jan. Give it a second, Jan, because I want you to come back and come at them. But first, I want to hear... Craig had to explain himself yesterday, because I think he's going to. Frank, you took some heat yesterday, I've got to tell you. How do you defend yourself?
Oh, easily, because I agree with Craig. Yes, scoring goals is one thing from a striker, but it's not the only thing.
Craig.
I mean, you need an environment as well. We saw last season Erling Haaland struggling because he wasn't served. It's not because he was a bad player, it's because he wasn't served. And when he was really served, he scored many goals because he's talented. But it's not only that. But when I talked about Thierry Henry, for example, or some other players, they were able to build their own chances on their own again, and it's why I named. No doubt that Erling Haaland is one of the top of the top, but sorry to say that is too simplistic. You have to take the whole environment of the squad, the players that they played again with, and maybe the time. Erling Haaland would have been good in the 90s. We don't know that. it would have been different. It was harder. You played against Tony Adams and some others. It's another story comparing to any other defenders that Erling Haaland has to confront. And Jan can say that. He played against those guys. They were more tougher than the others. So it's why I say it's too simplistic to just say, oh, it's just about goal.
It's easier to score. It's easier to score goals now, Jan. Even you would score 40 a season.
Exactly. And I played against Soviet Union and Yugoslavia. I know they're playing regions of those countries, 100% right. But, I mean, Frank you listen, when you speak, you and Craig, you speak like Socrates that said that the youth today is terrible. And that is so 1,000 years ago. And... I mean, how you defined it yesterday. I mean, you have had so many bad analyses, but yesterday you were terrible because you compared a Porsche with a Geländewagen. I mean, you didn't do it. Thierry Henry is another player. So Thierry Henry, to use your point, I think Thierry Henry, excellent, one of the best players I've ever seen.
Right.
I played one of the best.
Right.
But it's nothing to do when we discuss the best number 9s, the best goal getters. And the thing what you said yesterday. Can I say something, Frank? And I know you will like that because I knew you had a beef with Alan Shearer. This Alan Shearer record, as everybody's speaking about, I mean, if Erling Haaland is bothered to stay in England for so long, he's going to beat it. Harry Kane said, I don't care. I go to Munich and win some titles. Maybe I come back. And I say that in big respect to Alan Shearer because I played against Alan Shearer and he always scored goals. He scored the best goals. There's nothing to do with that. Erling Haaland would be good before the First World War, during the Second World War, he would be at the Korea War and the Vietnam War. He will be fantastic in any period.
Yes,
and that
nobody said
that.
Nobody said that.
Nobody said he wouldn't be.
You said that 20 strikers were better than Erling Haaland. I listen to you.
The defenders, the standard of defending in the Premier League in the last 10 years has... Shut up.
That's just what old people say.
The standard of defending in the Premier League has diminished, right? You also have to take into account that Erling Haaland is playing for a dominant side, a side that up until last year...
Thierry Henry didn't. Oh, sorry. Thierry Henry played for Swindon.
Sorry
about that.
Alan Shearer scored goals at Southampton, at Blackburn, who were dominant for a year, and Newcastle, who never won the title. The scenario is different. The scenario is different. And the same for Harry Kane. The same for Harry Kane.
First goal, Erling Haaland played in the Champions League. He scored a hat-trick. He played for Dortmund. He has scored 48 goals in 45 games for Norway.
He's a great
he will score anyway. He will score.
Yeah, nobody's saying he's not good. Nobody's saying he's not good.
Oh, 20 strikers better than him.
No.
20.
No, he's Norwegian, and you need to get out the bath here.
Nobody's arguing with you that he's not fantastic. Nobody's arguing with you that he scored 1,000 goals.
That is so easy to say because I'm Norwegian.
The argument, and let's make this really simple. Let me ask you a really simple, straightforward question. Is it harder to score goals back in the 90s than it is today? Yes or no?
You're asking me who played in the 90s. I would say it was unbelievable much easier to score now.
Well, but
no. But I'm not serious. But I understand what you're saying. But Erling Haaland, as any other player, you have on the list.
What it took to score goals over the last decades. So you're seeing the 2020s here, and we're seeing 2.91 goals per game. But you can go back to the 50s and the 60s. And look how many goals were scored back then per game.
Well, that's because...
but there were no defenders at the time.
One second. Take the rest of them out. I know we can't. What did it say about the 90s? The 90s was...
63.
2.63.
Exactly. Is that higher or lower than now?
Higher or lower?
Is it higher or lower? Higher or lower per game? It's lower. So forget the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and we're talking about the 90s and early 2000s.
You can split that into three categories. You start with the 50s. You start with the 50s, and it was easier to score because teams weren't as professional, weren't as well organised. Then you hit the middle strap.
We don't discuss that.
The middle strap. Teams are way more professional, way better at defending, way more organised. And then you look at the top tier now, the game is so wide open.
That's not what we're discussing.
That's three.
That is
Well,
interesting
yeah, listen to
discussion.
the
and ask
man who was talking about nothing that we were talking about to begin with.
Ask the producer if he can discuss that another night. Let's
No,
now discuss
is the
who is the
game-
best striker.
is the
Who is
game-
the best
no,
striker?
yeah,
That is quite
no,
interesting.
no.
Let me finish.
Is the
Let me
game more
finish.
open now, yes or no? We are seeing...
We are talking about
Yes.
Frank Leboeuf from Le France said at the start of this discussion, he said that he wouldn't have scored so many goals back in the days. Erling Haaland would have scored goals back in the days. Last season, he had a terrible season. Didn't get one
Nobody
cross.
said he wouldn't.
Didn't do one counter attack.
He wouldn't score as
No, we
many
discussed it.
goals.
He
The
would.
game was not
We
as
do-
open as it is. There's not as
Correct.
many opportunities.
Hey,
We are seeing teams... We are seeing
you-
centre-halves playing out. We are seeing full-backs invert themselves in the middle of the park. We're seeing games
Yes,
that the pitches
I
are
agree with
so
that.
wide that there
But
is so much
you-
space.
But
Yeah,
Jan's
but
You
point,
know that never happened.
does it
But
make
you-
it unfair because he didn't play then and he wouldn't be able to prove that? He's
Nobody
only, he's
said-
only
hold
playing
on.
when
Nobody
he
said
can
it's
play
unfair.
now.
Nobody said he's not
No,
a
but-
good player. Nobody said it's unfair. We're pointing out facts that it is easier to score today than it was
you-
in the 90s.
So why isn't
you
every
three-
striker
you-
doing what
you-
Erling Haaland's doing
you-
now?
You three
Scoring
you
goals
three-
at the rate that he's
See, you're
doing.
falling into his trap.
No, I'm just saying, when you're talking
You-
about, like, you're saying that he
you-
could play in the era that you guys play.
Yes.
He'd probably fit in, right? You have
Yes.
no dispute with that.
No.
But
That
he
would be
can only
stupid.
prove himself now in the era that
And
he's
we
in.
can only
Nobody's
make the
arguing,
argument.
nobody's arguing that.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
If
who
you
of
offered
three
me...
have the
Right, here's a question. If you were offered Thierry Henry or Alan Shearer, but Thierry Henry or Erling Haaland in their prime, pomp, who would you take?
But
I'm
you,
taking Henry.
Craig,
I'll take Alan Shearer over him.
Let's start again when before you guys.
Jan's done a top 10. Jan's done a top 10.
You three Muppets,
Couldn't
you
give a
feel so
toss.
confident. Hey, you three Muppets feel so confident because you have the same. So here is my list. Number 1, Jimmy Greaves. He has scored most goals in the top flights of England. And if you see that list,
I'd
that
rather
is-
talk about
that is the
international
perfect-
football.
That is the perfect list. Dixie Dean,
Brett,
Ian
get me the-
Rush,
hold on,
Harry
get-
Kane,
get me the
Alan
San
Shearer,
Marino highlight,
Ian Wright,
quick.
Sir Geoff Hurst, Andrew Cole. And when you guys are sitting to say that Erling Haaland would score exactly the same number, he would be top scorer in any decade. And you said yesterday that he wouldn't. There are top 20 strikers that is much better than him. That was
by the
your
way,
thing. You discussed other things.
Retract that.
Finish.
Retract that statement.
Let me finish.
I have at no point said there's 20 strikers better than Erling
No,
Haaland.
that was Leboeuf. But
Right.
there was 20 strikers better, and I
Apology
said
accepted.
No, I
No,
didn't say
there was-
better. I
Yeah.
didn't say better.
I think that's
Jan.
very big
I
of you
said
to
we
accept
can
his
compete.
apology.
We can compete in that list. I say the
Yeah.
list of players we can compete with Haaland for the best striker. Now I didn't say better. I didn't say better because the question was, is he the best? No, I say he can compete with the others. And no, when I think about Drogba, I think about Thierry Henry, I think about Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer, Jan Rush. I'm sorry, those players, and at the time, I tried to explain why it was like that. Because at the time, when we were playing in the middle of the park, that was really stuck. So it was very hard to find the striker. It's why that's the big difference between nowadays and before, because it's easier to find a striker because it's really open in the middle of the park because they go with the fullbacks. So they let the middle of the park open. It was very difficult to reach the striker if the striker wasn't able to create himself the chances. It's why it's just what I was saying. And I just said again, just let me finish. I just said again that it could be a competition. Of course, Erling Haaland is a fantastic player, but there is a competition.
Just to be clear on that list, Thierry Henry is not for me a clear number 9. So that's why Thierry Henry is not on the list. Kenny Dalglish, Sir Kenny Dalglish is maybe the best players I've ever seen. I love Sir Kenny Dalglish. He's not on the list because he wasn't a typical number 9 for me. But just to finish your kind of argument, if you say there was so and so, Erling Haaland would score exactly the same number of goals back in the 90s. That's what he would have done. He would have scored that.
We'll never know, my dear.
You can't.
But you can't. Exactly. You went into
you
my
can't
trap.
see that statement.
Can he never
that
make your
statement.
list? Even if he was to pass Alan Shearer's record,
Listen,
could he never make your list by
I'm
your
not.
argument?
I'm not. Listen, it's very hard to do. It's very hard to explain to somebody sat in their Norwegian underpants I mean, come on, it can't. Oh, Jesus.
Erling Haaland and defence. We'll leave that one for now. I'm sure we'll be revisiting it again. And Barcelona La Liga game set to be played in Miami in December. He said, I wouldn't do it. It's not good for the players. You have to travel a lot. It's also not fair in terms of competition. For us, it's now an away match on neutral ground. Well, Barcelona president Joan Laporta has responded to what he's had to say and said he is the captain of Barca and I can respect his opinion, but the club will play where La Liga says. If the Villarreal-Barca match is to be played in Miami, then we will go to Miami. Frank and Jan are joining us again here. Obviously, we've been talking about this. Frank, you're already shaking your head here.
Well, because Laporta is saying, in fact, yeah, he's a captain of Barca, but we don't care what he says because we want the money. And so we're going to decide whatever is the best for the Barca bank and the Liga bank, I don't know. But that's it. But I'm 100% with Frankie de Jong, and that's only a fair comment from him. And that's absolutely stupid to make team traveling, getting the jet lag. And it's so unfair comparing to the others. The one thing where you do the 10 games of one day away from home, okay, that may be stupid, even more stupid, but at least it's only fair. But it's unfair to Villarreal and Barca because players will have to travel to accept the jet lag, and their body gonna be tired.
What do you think, Jan?
Well, believe it or not, I agree with Frank because I think I can accept the Super Cup final. I can accept that. I can see the point of doing the branding, do things like that around the world. I can understand that, but I feel they take this too far. That is unfair of the other teams, but it's also unfair for the fans. I mean, these are die-hard fans. If you talk to the fans, okay, who are we playing this weekend? We're playing Villarreal in Miami. Okay, see you Monday. I mean, this is not what is happening. I think they are shaking too much the culture here, and I don't like that. Yeah. I can, though, accept the Super Cup then and again.
There is some, as Alex Kirkland was saying yesterday, I believe, there is some subsidy for Villarreal fans, i.e. coming to America.
The president said all along that they'll be paying for the season ticket holders to go.
And everybody else gets, if they choose not to go, they get half price. Yes. They get some sort of remuneration. I don't want to go over yesterday what I said, but in a sense, I've always kind of been one to not fight against it, but I've never really believed in this, but kind of things are changing, aren't they? It just feels like it feels like it's inevitable. That's where sport is going, not just soccer.
We could sit here and talk for half an hour about all the things that are wrong with it. But what is actually right with it? What is the benefit? Other than Barcelona getting a lot of money, Villarreal getting a lot of money, Villarreal fans getting a wee cheap getaway for a couple of days.
And a lot of fans over this side of the world getting to see these.
Well, you're trying to broaden your horizons as a federation and as a league. You know, whether it will have the impact that is intended remains to be seen, and that could be a very long-term view to find that out. But I think for La Liga, it's one way to try and somehow close the gap to the Premier League, which hasn't made itself the platform that it is on taking games abroad, but it did it on absolutely marvellous marketing many years ago.
Yeah. Stevie, you've seen that they fill the stadiums even for friendlies here. Barcelona and Real Madrid do. So imagine those fans that fill those stadiums already are going to get to see a competitive match with those teams here much closer to home.
If you want to make that the positive, then okay, I'll accept it. The problem is there are so many negatives. And for me, the biggest one for me is the competition side of it. You know, Real Madrid, who will complain about anything? If I was Real Madrid, I'd be going, hold on a second. If there's any way possible that Barcelona's going to lose a game or drop points, it's going to be away at these places, at these small grounds, where the atmosphere is going to be incredible, where you know that Villarreal and their fans are going to be all over it.
Well, apparently
it's the biggest, one of the biggest games of the season. And that competition part of it is taken away. Because you can put up your bottom dollar on that Barcelona's going to beat Villarreal in Miami. Guaranteed.
I think
Well,
Villarreal
Villarreal are the third best team in Spain at the moment, I believe. But there was also, and I stand corrected here, that Tebas, part of his argument was that Barcelona haven't won at Villarreal for X amount of games. That's kind of where he was coming from, for those that were saying, well, this is going to take the competitive edge away from Villarreal not playing at the stadium. The big issue here is, a lot of this revolves around the Premier League. 20 years or so ago, the Premier League put in this marketing drive that basically rammed it down people's throats around the world. We are the best. And then you have teams like Man United and Liverpool and Arsenal and Chelsea, and the list goes on, that have got a global fan base. And they drove that home. And that drove TV rights through the roof, not just in Britain, but around the world. And every other league, and if we consider La Liga at least to be the second strongest in Europe in terms of TV marketing, that left every other league lagging behind. And they're now trying to find every way they can to bridge that gap so that the money flows down, as it has done in the Premier League, the money that the likes of the Bournemouths and the Southampton coming up and the West Hams who are awful, the money they're getting is smashing what similar teams in La Liga are getting. And all they're trying to do, right or wrong, is find a way to be able to bring more money in to filter it all the way down.
Barcelona, I know, but the crazy thing is, Barcelona has been going to the US for how many years? I was coaching in MLS in the mid-2000s and Barcelona were coming to the US.
Right.
So what's one game against Villarreal going to change the fact that Barcelona has been coming to the US probably every year for the last 20 years?
Well, maybe
so all of a sudden,
I think
one competitive game is going to change the whole outlook of American fans in over Barcelona. How's that?
I think the serious stuff here is what Craig alluding to or saying is that from every season or every second season, we got one step further. I mean, we always do something new, okay? And we have to understand, and people, especially American viewers, they have to understand how conservative soccer, football are in Europe. We are very, very conservative. I mean, when a football team's coming over to Europe and play, we love it. I mean, we fill the stadiums. It's fantastic. And maybe the other way too. But what is the next thing that will happen if we accept this? Now UEFA said, yeah, we accept this, and if this and that, we can do that. What's the next thing we do? I mean, in 2-3 years, we find down the line before the Saudi World Cup, will we have a Saudi team in the Champions League? Why not? That could be good. Then we can extend that. We can do money there. I mean, why not? So every time we say a small thing, we go further and further away because there are so many power organizations battling for the money, battling for the power in there. We have a Club World Cup, we have Champions League, and we have a Super League called the Premier League. And then they get desperate. And just to end, I mean, who are the most owners in the Premier League from there, from America? Imagine when they have their meeting, they're going to have a vote that we're going to play one Premier League in America. I think they will be okay. They have a majority.
I think it's time for the San Marino highlight.
Well, we've got something even better than that right now.
Oh, really?
Talking about new movements in football.
Already seen Malta.
How about this? The England under-21 team, under their coach Silvio Baldini, made to wear eye patches to train with, and according to him, it helps enhance balance, coordination, and attention. You're forced to turn your head.
What was his name? Baldini?
Awareness. The Italy under-21 coach Silvio Baldini.
No, the referee has used this method for years to be blind on both eyes. So that should be okay also for footballers. and we played in the 90s. We have to be honest. In the 90s, we played against some defenders to take off that point again. That had one eye, but they went big in anyway. So no, I think there's I like when people try to be modern, but don't get too modern, please.
Well, now they know how one of my dogs feel.
Aww.
He's had his eye taken out, so he's going around, but he don't need a patch.
Okay.
He's all right. He can still see a squirrel from 100 yards away. Amazing.
I love that we're talking
San
about
Marino.
your dogs, because I know they're going to make you feel better. You're not going to be happy with what's coming next. We're going to be talking about the Club World Cup
Oh, no, I
success.
saw that.
Oh, yeah, come on.
Gianni Infantino.
World champions.
The Club World Cup was a huge success from every possible angle. I prefer 30,000 in an 80,000 stadium than a 20,000 full house. But we had 40,000 average. Only the Premier League is higher than that. And free streaming globally.
Yeah, well, he takes buffoonery. He takes buffoonery and has done to a new level.
Another level.
And it's been quite clear since he came into this job. And given his way, you know, every Tom, Dick and Harry will be playing at a World Cup very soon. One of the statements, one of the lines in that statement tells you how out of touch he is. And I might be wrong, but if you ask Stevie, Frank, Jan, or myself, would you prefer to play in a half-full stadium or a smaller stadium that was ramped up and absolutely full? We'd all say, we'll take the 20,000-seater stadium, full to the brim, because the atmosphere is going to be great. There's nothing worse than playing in a huge stadium with a 40% capacity. And yet he thinks that's a good thing. Yeah. That tells you where his brain is in this, in terms of how players think and how this game works. Absolutely, just crazy.
On top of it, Craig, Gianni said sorry. What he says, Gianni Infantino, what he says is he said that it was a huge success. Yet, without seeing the what's going on with the players right now and how many injured players you have, so it's not a success because what's going on after that is a shamble. For most of the team who have been there, most players are injured, teams are not performing the way maybe they should. So it's not a success because football has got damages because of that. So I disagree with that. Money-wise, maybe, I don't know what he wants to go, and he's a political person, being the chairman of the FIFA. But in terms of football, bodies, players, I've been almost wounded because of that.
But they don't. But Frank, that's the point. Sorry, Jan. That's the point, Jan. That they don't. It seems on the face of it, him and his cronies don't gauge the success on football.
But we have to be.
Money.
We have to.
They base success on finances.
Yeah. But I was on Sunday back at your old club, Frank and Craig. I went to Stamford Bridge and saw the game there. Liverpool.
Anybody asking for me, Jan?
No. They said, "Where is Craig? We have so a great day." No, but you have to. In fairness to Chelsea, everywhere, world champions. Everywhere there are signs being world champions all over Stamford Bridge. It's like 1066 when Goodwinson won against our Vikings. I mean, it's unbelievable. There are signs everywhere with them being the world champions. So they kind of milk it. And then every player is injured.
Yeah, but
exactly.
Anybody who knows anything about football knows that's a lot of nonsense. And to jump on Craig's point about ask me or Frank or Jan or whatever, the experience for a player in the atmosphere of 20,000 full house is incredible. But the experience for the fan is the same. It's incredible. The fan experience in a half-empty stadium diminishes from what it would be. So every single way that this guy looks at it, not one ounce of it is looked at from a player's point of view or a fan's point of view. It's finance, as Craig said. He has no interest in anything but the money.
One of the best stadiums, one of the best places for fan experience and player experience, and we've all played there. We've played there, is the old Highbury, Arsenal's old ground. It was around 30,000.
Yep.
We played there in London derbies. Frank and I, we played there in FA Cup semi-finals. You look forward to going there, and you knew it wasn't Old Trafford, it wasn't Anfield. It was never going to be a huge crowd. But it was in all the houses, it was small, it was compact, it was right, and the atmosphere was fantastic. They didn't need 100,000. And that's where this guy just does not get it from the player, or indeed, as the boys have been saying, as Stevie said, from the fan perspective.
When I was at Chelsea and I played the first year and after the second year, the biggest atmosphere that I found was at Coventry. I mean, 25,000, I think it was. That was insane. Insane. And the first game that I played Southampton, the former stadium of the Saints. I mean, I had to slap myself. I was coming from France, and I never had any knowledge about that. And I used to, when the ref blew the whistle to start, and I slapped myself, said, "Wake up! You're not a fan. Don't look around," because the atmosphere was great. It was like 17,000. That was crazy packed. That's something. We want to see that.
As you well know, Frank, there was 2 Coventries playing that day. Because the kit man forgot to bring our kit.
That's true.
He remembers. There'll no doubt be some more talk about this on the latest Gab and Jill show. Isn't it Don again? Didn't he say he's going to be back on
everywhere.
air? Yeah, Don. And all the commentaries he did the last week. Make sure to check it out wherever you get your podcast. Latest one dropped today. Little MLS action here. LAFC hosting Toronto FC.
Oh, no.
Ebo Bise sealing it away here to open the scoring.
Yeah, horrible defending. But DC does well, though. He's still got a long way to go, and he's got the goalkeeper to beat. Goalkeeper doesn't cover his selling glory here. Leaves that bottom corner. Well taken.
60th minute. We're going to see penalty because this is what led to it. David Martinez is going to take the penalty.
He's all over him, isn't he? What do you expect?
Oh, good save.
Saved by Sean Johnson.
Sean. God, Sean's been around for a while. Sean was around when I was coaching.
That is a while ago.
Aye.
69th minute. Frankie Amaya to give LAFC the win.
Yeah, that's a poor. Unfortunately, Sean, that's a poor one to lose.
There's a late red card for Toronto as well. This is how things are looking in the West as it stands right now. LAFC in 3rd spot on 59 points. And over in the East, Toronto in 12th. More talk about what's going
what
on
a crew
in
that
MLS
is.
and beyond with Alexis Herc and Casey Keller. Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern.
Saturday now as well.
Saturday now as well.
Branching out, eh?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us on the latest edition of ESPN FC. Stick around, extra time is on the way. Frank and Jan are back to join these two and answer your questions. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. There's Jan, Frank,
Yeah.
Craig
Nice
and
patch.
Stevie.
What is that?
We've lost his mic. Did he take his mic off and put it in his eye?
A coin.
I can't hear you, Jan, which is not a bad thing.
Hey, I just want to, Kay, if I may, do you know the guy was the goalkeeper's name on Somalia, Algeria, in the Algeria goalkeeper? Do you know what his name was?
Yeah, of course we do.
We've got that information. Why, Frankie?
Give me a second.
She slipped my mind.
Okay, all right. That was Zidane. Lucas Zidane in goal.
Was it? Brilliant.
Somebody playing an organ in the background. What's that?
It's like a white noise machine or something
Wait,
in the
you-
background.
Are you in
What
a
is
church? Is that church pews?
What are you doing?
Where's the music
What is
coming
that?
from?
It's a harp. It's one of them, isn't it? It's a harp.
It's not me.
Okay.
All right, it's gone.
It's not
All right,
me.
it's gone.
You either play
Okay.
a harp like that.
Okay.
2 thumbs, isn't it? A harp.
All right. Yesterday,
Whatever.
Craig said, the standing of defending in the Premier League
What?
has
The
diminished.
what? The what?
The standard of defending in the Premier League has diminished.
Over the years.
Agree or disagree?
100%.
Agree.
Absolutely. Well, when half of your back four is playing because of what they can do going forward, as opposed to what they can do defensively, there's not an argument.
Well,
That's
I
every
was
team,
just-
by the way. We're talking about every team. We're not talking about a couple of teams. We're talking about every team. So, 100%.
hey, as a player in the 90s, as a striker, I must agree, of course. But the boys will have a go at me. But if you saw the qualification round today, you saw Malta trying to play out from the back against the Netherlands. Then I say, auf Wiedersehen.
Yeah.
Frank,
Yes, it even makes me, having been a very good defender, where I always thought I wasn't a great defender. I was good, with the ball, but I wasn't the best defender ever, for sure. But comparing to what I see right now, I became a very good defender. No, but it's, yeah. That's quite insane.
Okay.
Proven
Well
right
done, Craig Burley.
Aye.
Agreed.
Proven right again about all this striker stuff.
No. That's another discussion. Don't start again,
Yeah.
Craig. Don't
Yeah.
start again.
He's going to have an easier time on
Don't
today's show.
don't jump on that.
He
Jan, don't
just talked
answer.
against
He will-
himself, Jan, there, didn't he?
Well,
About the defenders. He just talked against himself, against his own argument.
No. You guys doing that
Yeah,
because you
true.
discussed
just did
another
it.
thing.
He just
You
did
did
it.
another thing. You do another thing. We're talking about the best strikers, that the best striker of today would even be good in the 90s.
Yes, and the argument was it's
Yeah,
easier
that's-
to score goals because the
You
defenders
said
are
there
not
were
good.
20
and unless my
20 strikers
ears
better
are
than Erling
deceiving me, Mr.
20
Jan-
striker better than Erling Haaland. That was your quote.
no, that
Jan
was
said,
Frank.
That was
Yes,
Frank was
defenders are not as
remarkably
good
quiet
today.
when the big argument was going on in that segment today after saying there were 20 better than Haaland. He just sat quietly and watched everybody else argue.
Well, because we cannot all talk together because people, our audience, don't understand anything. So that's why I rather stay quiet because if I'm not heard, what's the point of it? I get upset for nothing.
Okay, Craig.
I'm
Okay.
not saying I'm not admitting any way, shape or form that I was wrong or we were wrong.
Why change the habit of a lifetime?
No, I am not. However, I am more than prepared to sit here at any point during international week and argue till the cows come home about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's how.
well, and you would win again.
Here is a question coming straight to you. It's Mark Viduka's birthday. Anyone have any stories about him?
I swore at him once in Yugoslavian. I caught him off guard.
How do you know?
Well,
Who
he's-
told you Yugoslavian
Well,
swear
because-
words?
Well, it's Croatian.
Yeah, but the old Yugoslavia.
yeah.
It was a big part of the old
I
Yugoslavia.
played with one of his teammates,
Stefanovic.
Stefanovic, yeah, at Sheffield Wednesday. And he taught me all the swear words in their language, right? And so we went to
don't even
and
go there. Don't
Viduka was
even
at
go
Villa.
there.
Viduka was at Villa. And we're walking up, I was
Was
walking
he
up.
ever at, one second, was he ever at Villa?
Aye.
Was he?
Oh no, it's the wrong guy.
You're talking about
It's
wrong
lit.
guy.
you're talking about
Lit.
Milosevic. It was at Villa.
Aye. No, the other one. There's another
No.
one. There's another one. I've got the wrong guy.
Well, Mark Viduka he's an
know.
Australian Croat.
Yeah, Celtic, aye.
Or a Croat. He's an Aussie Croat, and his surname starts with V.
I was thinking of somebody else.
Thank God it's not live. Thank God it's
Well,
not
anyway, I'll
live.
tell you the story anyway.
We might as well now.
Who was it? We're walking up the corridor. I can see him in my head. I can't get his name.
Midfielder,
He was a forward.
the big tall lad.
Aye.
Milosevic.
Walking up the corridor.
Mark Utley?
Oh, it was Milosevic. You're right. Aye.
Milosevic. I knew I was right.
Walking up the corridor.
Alan McAnally.
Yeah. And he's went to Stefanovic and ran, shook hands and said something in whatever language they speak. And then he turned to me and went like that, and I went like that, and I went, 3 words all strung together. And he just looked at me like that. Just pregnant pause. And then Stefanovic started laughing, and then he got it. But he wasn't happy
To
with
be
it.
fair though, I mean, it's
He wasn't happy.
And it wasn't Viduka.
And it wasn't Viduka. Other than that.
Happy birthday, Mark.
well, they're quite similar, aren't they?
Next question.
Savo
Happy birthday.
Milosevic and Mark Viduka.
Next question.
Well,
question.
any stories? Well, he disappeared. He signed for Celtic when I was there. Nice lad, very good player. And he disappeared back to Croatia because he had a disagreement over some sort of contract, and so nobody could find him. Yeah. And then we did ask him to go if he wanted to go horse racing one day because we were having a bonding session with the boys. Yeah.
Bonding.
And we were going to Hamilton Racecourse to watch the horse racing. And he's do you want to come, Vidux? And he went, is it indoors? Now, I might be wrong. But is there any place where there is indoor horse racing?
No.
On the planet?
No.
Big, strong boy, great first touch, good player, most laid-back man on the planet. Coming to training, you're training at 10:30, he's coming in at 10:25. You're getting in the car to go to training, he's pulling his socks up. That's kind of how Vidux was, just laid back. I believe he's got a coffee shop or something.
Yeah, we loved him at the Borough.
No.
He's a good player.
That's the other guy.
Oh, that's
Craig, that's
Savo
the other guy.
Milosevic's coffee shop.
He actually does have a coffee shop right now. Viduka, that is. Yeah, and any Viduka stories?
No, I didn't
No.
play with him. We had, as you know, Kay, we had another guy called Emerson, the Brazilian,
Yeah.
that used to go back to Brazil as well. He just left us and came home then and again. They said he was in love. I don't know, but he got away from us, didn't he, for a couple of 3 games, and then he come back.
Well,
he did a Viduka.
Viduka
Or as
delivered for
me-
Middlesbrough, though.
We played.
Yeah, it was
just quick-
very good for Middlesbrough.
Yeah, it was good. We played against Croatia Zagreb, and it was basically almost the Croatia Zagreb team that had got to the semi-final of the World Cup in France. Kind of most of their players, and we played them in a Champions League qualifier, whatever it was, 2 legs. Prozinecki and all them were playing, and Verdux was playing up front. We beat them at Celtic Park. We went over to Zagreb. We got hammered, right, I think 3-0. Verdux up front was tossing. We had 2 big centre halves, Matt Reaper and Alan Stubbs, and he tossed them all over the field.
Yeah, bad defenders in the 90s.
They would have ate Erling Haaland for dinner. And I think Stubbs had come in, there was blood coming from his nose. Reaper had a big cut here, and we were like that. Sign him. We need to sign him. Because he was a handful. But it depended what
day of the week it was.
What day of the week it was for Verdux. if it was the right day of the week for Big Mark, he was you might see this because he's in Australia now, because we go out in Australia.
Yeah, I wonder where the coffee shop is, maybe.
Milosevic has got the one in Australia.
He's got no tellies in his, though.
If he fancied it, Mark Viduka, he was a handful.
Yeah, great
Absolute
striker.
handful.
Yeah, nice stuff. Okay. Frank, what's the closest you've come to a complete meltdown on the pitch, and why?
What is a meltdown? I'm sorry.
When
Losing the plot.
Oh, yeah.
When you were completely
It could be anything.
bad?
Like when you see red, you get super angry, you get super frustrated,
You
super
lose it.
angry, and you lose it.
Why don't we write it down?
Complete meltdown. Well, you know what? Craig was mentioning the fact that we played with the away shirt of Coventry at Coventry because we forgot our away shirt and we lost that game. And I got comedy crazy that I took, and I want to hope the fans of Coventry will forgive me, but I took the shirt off and I threw it on the floor, which I didn't think about that, but the FA sent me a letter saying that I was completely ashamed what I've done, what I did, and they were right. But I got mad because I really thought that we lost because of that, and that was insane for me for somebody to forget our away shirt. And but I made a huge mistake throwing the Coventry shirt down on the floor. But yeah, that was I remember that was insane.
Well, Jan had a meltdown on the live show tonight at the very thought of a discussion about Erling Haaland.
To be fair, I didn't have a meltdown because I was there. I was in my zone, but because I listened to your show yesterday and yeah, okay, it was terrible. Craig,
Well, it was described as
you had one of the worst days of your life at ESPN, but that's another story. I had a meltdown. I had a meltdown. I had a meltdown in training once. I played with a guy called Andy Much, and Andy Much was the colleague of Steve Bull in Wolverhampton. Remember him? And I came to England. I was struggling to scoring goals, and Andy Much came to Swindon, and he wanted to tell me everything I should do on a football pitch. You know, one of those players. Jan, go there. You this. And me, with lack of self-confidence, I didn't score. I was struggling and go on. So one day I said to my wife, today I'm going to kick him down in training. I'm going to kick him so hard that he can't stand up again. And my wife said, you're stupid, but you know that you knew that anyway. She married me. But she was standing there, and I said, and Andy Much came on to me, and he was like, Jan, I want you to do this in training today. This is how you're going to improve. And I was thinking, go away from me. I'm a Norwegian international. Why should you tell me? And then he came to me. I kicked him down so hard in training that he fell over, got injured, and he stood up and he looked me right in the eyes and he said, that's what I want you to do, Jan. And since then, we was the best of friends. So I think that is a good story.
You know, yesterday Dan said the same thing to me.
That was a hard time in the 90s.
He says to me yesterday, Dan, this is your worst ever show for ESPN. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it was. I think there has been much worse. And I can bring it down
It's
lower.
a hard competition.
Aye.
Hard
Listen,
competition.
I can take it even lower. You don't worry about that. You know, I once got kicked in a. I once got a David Linnigan, who was Andy Linnigan's brother, for those slightly older, played for Arsenal. And David Linnigan played for Ipswich at some point in his career, and my uncle was the manager, and he gave him a free transfer, and I think he went to Blackpool, and we played Blackpool in the League Cup. And he almost smashed me in 2 pieces. And as I was picking myself up, he said, "That's because your uncle gave me a free transfer." I went, "I'm serious." He went, "That's for your uncle." And I went, "I don't even like him." I'm serious.
Do you ever lose it, Stevie?
No.
No.
No, calm and
No.
He's
Yeah.
just calm and composed.
No, I don't.
The only
just
time
won.
he would
They
lose
just
it.
won.
The only time he would lose it, I reckon, if somebody stole his shepherd's pie.
Wait, didn't you almost kick someone in the FA Cup final against Everton?
What do you mean almost kick somebody?
Yeah, but I knew exactly what I was doing. I never lost it.
You just
I knew exactly what I was doing.
premeditated.
Aye. Food and beer.
And watching Liverpool.
Food and beer.
Or the golf.
Yeah. No, food and beer. The first couple of trips I was with Liverpool, we'd get on a bus, away from home, 7 o'clock dinner, and I'm sat there and I'm waiting on the chips because everyone was like service at the time, you know. They come around, a huge big silver tray, over your shoulder, like put the chips on your
Fries.
plate. And so I'm sat there. So there's a couple of people going around this, and I'm sat waiting, right? And then I see the two of them walking off towards the kitchen, and I'm like that. Excuse me. And they're like looking at me, and then they keep walking. I'm like, so I don't know what to do, because I've only just joined, and I'm like, generally kind of try to sit and not be seen, and I'm like, I can feel myself inside, I'm seething. And the girl comes back out again, I went, excuse me. I said, can you tell me where the chips are? And she went, I'm sorry, you're not allowed any. I went, what do you mean I'm not allowed any? She said, well, the management have told me you're not allowed to have any chips. And I was like that. I said, get me the chips. And I saw them all laughing, and I went, sorry. And they actually went and brought me the chips. I was raging. You know when you're sitting bubbling, you try and be invisible, but inside I'm raging, because they never gave me any French fries.
Mild-mannered until it comes to food.
On the pitch, no danger, I was calm as a cucumber.
Savo Milosevic, he was allowed them.
Oh, he was,
Yeah.
aye.
You got a chips cafe now.
Next question, do any of your former clubs have an employee, such as a kitman or a tea lady, who has been or was there forever and is a club institution, like Shaka for ESPN FC?
Yeah, John Clark, Celtic, he just died 3-4 months ago. John Clark was the kit man at Celtic when I was there. He was the kit man before I was there, and probably
true.
for some time
I
after.
remember.
John Clark, for those that want to look it up, if you can bother, was part of the Celtic side that was the first British team to win the European Cup in 1967, with a team of 11 Scottish players, all from within 20 miles of Glasgow. Never ever be done. Never happen again. Billy McNeil was captain, Jinky Johnston, you name it. They were all legends. Yeah. And John was part of that team that made history. Not Man United, not Liverpool, not Celtic Football Club were the first team to win it, and he was part of it. And he became the kit man, and he was the most down-to-earth, quiet guy you'd ever meet.
The Lisbon Lions, right?
The Lisbon Lions.
Yeah.
The Lisbon Lions. And to go from that, you know, it must have been frustrating for him in a sense, you know, because he was in the technical area, what we used to call it the dugout, for all the games. And he saw some good Celtic teams and some terrible ones and some average ones, and it, you know, has to be frustrating for him, knowing how successful and how great they were. Just to sit there and say nothing. So he was, that for me is a great story of somebody going from there to there.
It's a great story, and that's what clubs are about. And all of us have played for different clubs, and there are always some people who have been there all the time and so kind to tell you the story about the club, which is brilliant. I came back to Middlesbrough once, and I met a lot of people that I remember, and I hugged them, and I knew. And then I met this guy, and I remember you. So over to him and say, good to see you again. I wouldn't be there for many years. And I was sitting whole first half to think of who he was. And then I realized that was the guy who was the man who opened the door in the players' lounge. And I always needed more tickets and more people to come in because I have so many people from Norway out. So he was the kindest man. So when I had 2 tickets, he would let 10 in. So he was my kindest man. And in halftime, I went over and hugged him again because he was a big part of my life at Middlesbrough. Those small things, I can't even remember his name now, but I would see him straight away and I remember him.
Well, Jose Mourinho, just back at Chelsea with Benfica,
Yeah,
the press
brilliant.
conference, he went up at the end of it, or he went over and he gave a big hug to Theresa Connolly, who's been club
Oh
secretary.
no, you stole my story! You stole my story! Come on! Come on!
Well, you were sitting there and you had that look on you that you had no story.
Fraser, what's
Tell it.
Tell it.
the name?
Tell it.
Oh wow! Because Frida was the kindest person on earth, and I think she worked for like more than 30 years for Chelsea.
46.
And when I saw you last week, 36, yeah. When I saw
46.
Jose Mourinho hugging her. Oh,
I should have told the story.
You should have told
I should have told the
it.
story.
Yeah, I say told the story, but you know, I was so happy to see her because they had no news, and she was the nicest person. Every time I was going to the office, she was great. She was smiling. She loved the players and the club, and it was nice to see her with Jose last week.
Well, great story, Frank.
Frank did once tell a story like this about a guy at Chelsea, if I seem to remember. And he was like, he was a great guy, we'd play golf, we'd do all these things, and then he didn't know his name. Do you remember that story, Frank? There was somebody else at Chelsea who really stood out to you when you were playing there.
That was Didier Drogba.
Oh, no,
Just in case you didn't feel worse the first time round, Frank, let's make you feel worse again.
I thought he might have brought it back up again and found out his name. Maybe
that would be a no.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. The last time that I made that mistake is when I wasn't able to talk about Mario, our hero, Mario Melchior, and I didn't remember his name, and I felt so guilty after the show. I said, how stupid I am. I'm getting old, and that was insane. Now I'm again sorry, Mario, my love.
Lots of football clubs up and down the country though have these characters.
Yeah.
I'll call them characters.
Well, they used to.
Because they are. Again, this lady's passed away, but we had a laundry lady at Celtic, Angie Thompson, and she had the most wicked sense of humour. And all the boys used to go into her laundry room to put the kettle on to make tea, and it wasn't very woke back in those days, and you could just say anything to Angie, but it was coming back, and it was coming back in spades. And you know, a lot of clubs have people like this.
Well, they used to.
Yeah,
I can't imagine
brilliant.
they have them now.
But they have some of them. I went to Brentford on Saturday, and I haven't met this guy before. There was a guy who was in the media, and he just sat down with me, and I came from the media, and he was talking about he's been there for like 25 years at the club, and these people are so important for the clubs. But I'm with you, Stevie. Maybe they're dying out in the professional way of management.
There must be somebody
No,
at
I think
Liverpool,
some are still
Stevie.
there, like the cleaning ladies and things like this. You see
Stevie,
some
there
of the
must be.
lads
I know
still
you
put
don't
things
go
on.
back you don't go back very often. There must be people at Liverpool behind the scenes that have been there for donkey's years.
So the last one would be Helmet. Helmet obviously was his nickname. So when I went in '81, Helmet, his name's Graham by the way, but we called him Helmet.
What was his hair like?
Well, because he came in one day. So he used to drive the bus because we used to get changed at the ground and go to the training ground, and he used to drive the bus there and back. But he also drove us game day as well. So we were going down to London. Helmet was the driver. But anyway, he turned up one day with this haircut, and it just looked like somebody had stuck a helmet on and just cut around it. so he got a helmet for the rest of the time that I was there. And he, similar to your story, he only retired he retired the year before Jurgen left. But he became the kit man as well. So he was a bus driver, and then I don't know when it happened, but I just remember watching the TV once, and I see Helmet sitting at the side of the bench with all training gear on, and then I realised that he was now the kit man. So he was there already when I went in '81, and he only retired, 2 years ago?
Fantastic.
So he would be the last one that I would remember.
How do you know? He could have been the throw-in coach.
No. Coach driver, not any other coach.
Okay, last question. If you had to sing your national anthem, Who in all of the crew would butcher it the most among all of the ESPN FC cast members, players and pundits? So who'd be the worst at singing their national anthem?
Well, it's not easy to sing a national anthem or any song with your front teeth missing. I tell you that. Just been honest.
I mean,
That
right
is
from the
so
get-go,
Scottish.
flour.
That is so
You win.
Scottish.
Right,
bro.
right.
Try and say flour with no front teeth.
So that by this point of the proceedings, the aforementioned teeth are out. These ones don't come out. Well, they could be punched out, which I presume there's a lot of people willing to do that. The old days when I was playing, you didn't have them permanently fixed because, you know, people like Frank and Jan would stick an elbow in your face and they would come out. So by that point of the proceedings, the national anthem, the teeth were very much deep in the trouser pockets in the dressing room. And you try talking with your front teeth missing. Never mind singing.
Yeah.
No easy.
You'd be right up there.
And it's not a pretty sight, I can tell you.
I think it's going to be the best one. Going to be Frank.
La patrie.
Yeah. But because the French national anthem, national anthem is the start of All You Need Is Love, isn't it? So
You know,
I think it's going to be Frank.
I invite everybody to check the national team of England. I think it's the national team of England, yes. How it was created and for whom it was created and how it came out. I think it came from an illness from Louis XIV in France, and not a very good one. But check that out because I don't want to say anything on live because it's not very nice, it's not very fancy, but it comes from a very bad illness from Louis XIV. Make your researches, guys, and you will talk
we'll get
about
on it,
it
Frank.
after.
Thank you so much for
Okay.
that. How's your national anthem, Jan?
Ja, vi älskar detta landet som det stiger fram. Yeah, and then.
Has anybody ever heard Shaka try to sing?
No.
I think Shaka's the only one, because you know Dan would fancy himself. Alexis would fancy herself. Alejandro.
Why Shaka?
I've never heard Shaka.
You've
ever tried to
you're
sing
just
or
saying
anything.
Well, it's not the kind
But
of thing.
you know, it'd be between you and Shaka.
Well, you know, you come to work and you sing. Why would you sing at work?
Some people just walk around singing.
My dad
don't
do
we,
that,
Kay?
singing all the time.
That's true.
Kay and I do a bit.
Playing each other full-on songs
Aye.
while everyone's trying to watch the football.
Aye.
Yeah, especially on International Week. Only joking.
Between Shaka and you.
Shaka.
San Marino.
Oh, well
All
done.
right. Thank you so much for sending in your questions today. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again.